Hey y'all, I'm Mandy and this is Mandy in the Making. Welcome back to my channel and welcome back to another What's for Dinner. I've got 3 really easy dinner ideas for you. This is my first What's for Dinner in several weeks. I took a few weeks off. It was really nice, but I'm glad to be back. Tonight we are making a really simple one. I saw it over on Moss Family TV. If you don't watch Fallon and the Moss Family, you are missing out. I'll link her channel below. But she did this a few weeks ago and it sounded really good. It's Southern pecan crusted chicken, I think is what it's called. I don't know, it uses pecans. How do you say it? All right, to get started, my chicken breasts, a couple of them are pretty thin, but one of them is a little on the thick side, so I'm gonna cover it in some plastic wrap. And I've never attempted to do this. I used to have a meat tenderizer, but I had to get rid of it. I need to get another one. So we're gonna try. What you think, baby? You think this is gonna work?
Yeah, I think it's gonna work.
Okay. I'm gonna try to flatten it out just a little bit. That's the oven. I've got it preheating to 375. I think that's good.
Like that?
I like it. All right, now we need to melt the butter. I've got a half a stick of butter, or no, a whole stick of butter, a half a cup of butter. So I need to melt this. I'm actually not gonna do the entire stick of butter because we only have 3 chicken breasts. So I'm gonna reserve that part for later. And I'll do the majority of it. While our butter is melting in the microwave, I'm gonna spray this dish. The recipe calls for a 9x13, but we only have 3 small pieces of chicken. Do you hear that?
Dude.
Is the butter gonna be okay? It'll be okay. Now I'm just gonna salt and pepper my chicken before we put it in here. All right, before we assemble everything, I need to chop this cup of pecans. It says to just coarsely chop them, so I'm just gonna run my knife through them a few times. To our butter, I'm gonna add almost 1/4 a cup of Dijon mustard. The recipe calls for 1/4 a cup, but since we're doing a little bit less butter, we're doing a little less mustard. And we're just gonna whisk this together. We're gonna pour this over our chicken. Now we're gonna put our pecans on top. And now it calls for rosemary. I don't have any fresh rosemary. I'm gonna be using some dried rosemary. I'm just gonna sprinkle it over the top. Okay, this is going in the oven at 375 for about 35 minutes. And then we'll have a sauce for on top. So I'm making green beans to go with tonight's dinner. If you want the green bean recipe, I will link it below. I have shown it many times on my channel. Tonight I am adding onion in too. So we're gonna get this sauce going. I'm gonna turn this eye to medium low. I'm gonna add in a cup of sour cream. Now the recipe calls for white wine. We're just gonna sub that because it only needs 1/3 a cup. We're just gonna use some chicken broth. We need a couple of tablespoons of Dijon mustard. Okay, and now we're just gonna add in some of the drippings from this dish. It's really hard to get to it, so I'm just gonna get as much as I can, maybe a couple of tablespoons total. Just gonna stir this together and warm it through, and then we're gonna pour it over the chicken and it's gonna be time to eat.
here we go. Mmm. Wow. Oh boy, that's good. That sauce is incredible. Mmm. The first thing you get is that sauce. It is so bold and rich with that mustard and sour cream mixture. Man, talking about flavor, it is jam-packed. It's really good. Very, very good. The pecans, nice touch. Not overpowering. Good crunchy texture in there. Really, really love that. It definitely goes together, the pecan flavor. Wow, that's really good. The chicken is really tender, very juicy. No knife necessary.
Blue.
All right, talk to me, Mama.
That's really good. I was telling the boys, I feel like it's something that would be like on the menu at a restaurant. It is so incredibly good. And the green beans are really good. This is the first time I've ever done it in beef broth. I was trying to use up the rest of some beef broth that I had, and it was perfect. It tastes so good. I love the brown sugar in the green beans. It's really good with this chicken too. Okay, it is time for our second meal of the week, and in full disclosure, we've already eaten it. I forgot to record this portion earlier because when I made this one, it's in the crock pot. I did not have on makeup, my hair was a mess, I was doing things around the house, it was not good. So you'll see me in a different outfit making this morning, and then we had it this evening and it was really good. Spoiler alert. But this one is called sweet potato beef stew. This was a big twist on the usual beef stew that I make, and I loved it. You'll see. Okay, to get started, I'm just gonna chop up our veggies. I'm gonna go ahead and peel these 2 sweet potatoes. I need to not knock things over. I need about 3 cups of chopped sweet potatoes, but these 2 should equal about that. The recipe only calls for 1/4 cup of diced celery, but I really like the flavor of celery. I just cut that all crooked. Look at that. That is pitiful, Mandy. Anyway, I really like the flavor of celery, so I'm gonna do 2 stalks. And then lastly, it calls for a small yellow onion. This is part of an onion. We used the other part of it yesterday. So I'm just gonna use the rest of this. I think that's enough. I'm gonna save this for later. Okay, I'm gonna start putting things into my slow cooker. I am using a slow cooker liner today just to make it a little bit easier. I'm gonna put our sweet potatoes on the bottom. It's kind of mixed with the celery, but that's okay because the celery goes in now too. I'm gonna add our onion. And I'm gonna add in our baby carrots, but honestly, some of these are really large. So I'm gonna cut them in half. Okay, I cut them in half. This is about 8 ounces of baby carrots. Next, it calls for a drained 15-ounce can of corn. If you can find the Fiesta corn, that's probably even better, but I just had some frozen corn on hand, so we're just gonna use that. And a can of fire roasted diced tomatoes. I am not going to drain this. Now in this gallon-sized Ziploc bag, I'm gonna add, or hefty bag, it's not Ziploc, I'm gonna add a couple of tablespoons of all-purpose flour. And to my flour, I'm gonna add a 1/2 teaspoon each of seasoned salt and black pepper. Just shake that up. And now I'm just gonna throw my pound of stew meat in here and just coat it all. One of the things I really loved about this recipe is that you don't have to pre-cook this meat. So now that it's coated, we're just going to dump it in here on top of the veggies. Now let's add in a bay leaf, if I can find a large one. Usually I can't. This is just the Walmart brand and they're usually teeny tiny. So I usually add 2. I need a teaspoon of the Dub sauce, a half a teaspoon of paprika. The recipe called for fresh parsley. I don't have any, so I've got this dried parsley. I'm just gonna add that in. The recipe calls for a teaspoon of minced garlic, but y'all know, I'm gonna do more like a tablespoon. Now it's asking for 1 cup of water and 2 beef bouillon cubes that have been dissolved in here. But we're gonna do 2 small teaspoons of this beef bouillon, or Better Than Bouillon. We've really just discovered Better Than Bouillon not long ago, and I really, really love it. But I know a little goes a long way. This is easier said than done. I should have used something larger. Whoops. Okay, I'm gonna pour this in. And then in order to keep our meat as tender as possible, I'm gonna try and get it down below the water and maybe the veggies. I don't know why it told me to put the veggies in first if it was going to want me to do that, but whatever. I'm gonna take the bay leaves off and put them back on in just a second. Okay. Now this is gonna cook on low for 7 to 9 hours. I am running a little bit late today, so what I'm gonna do is turn it on high for just a little while and then I'll flip it over to low just to get that heat up there. But you probably, it says that you can cook it on high if you want to, but it's not going to be as tender if you do that, I have a feeling. So low and slow is the best. I didn't get it all below there, but it's better than it was. Put our bay leaves on. And let's put it on high for about an hour and then I will switch it down to low. Okay, it is almost time to eat. I have changed clothes. I am going to attempt to make rice in the Instant Pot. I have never done this before, but I just watched a couple of videos on it and I feel pretty comfortable. Let's give this a try. I've just got regular white rice that I have rinsed really well. I've got 1 cup of it. And I've got 1 1/4 cups of water. Stir it around and make sure our rice is covered with water. Okay, turn that to sealing. We're gonna do, oh, it has a rice button, but I'm just gonna do pressure cook for 7 minutes. Okay, it has been 9 minutes since the timer went off, so I'm going to release the rest of the pressure. I'm getting better at that, babe.
Good job.
Oh, most of the pressure was already out. Okay, let's check this. I did not get a burn notice. Yes. Okay. That's like the perfect rice.
Yeah.
Look at that.
Looks great.
And it didn't boil over on the stove. Woohoo!
Yay.
All right, that's ready. Now it's time to take our bay leaves out. First of all, these are gonna be hot. And you don't have to, but to make this a little bit creamier, you can come in and just kind of mash up some of your sweet potatoes. So that's what I'm gonna do. This smells so good, y'all. I wish you could smell it. Here, you got the whiff? You got it? Oh yeah, that makes it a little bit thicker and creamier. Now Cole is not the biggest fan of sweet potatoes, so we'll get his feedback on this. But he might be making him something else if he doesn't like it.
If he makes him something else, then yay!
More for us.
Nothing like a hearty, hot stew on a really cold day.
Yes, it was like 40 something degrees here today, low 40s, and it's supposed to get down in the 20s tonight, so this is perfect.
I've never had anything like this.
No.
Obviously I've had beef stew, but not anything with, I've never had a stew with, I don't think I've had a stew with a sweet potato. It's really good. I mean, you can get just a little bit of the sweet potato. I mean, you don't really get much of the sweet potato flavor. The meat's really good. I mean,
is it tender?
It's very tender, falls apart. So it's cooked perfectly. It's really warm. It's gonna warm me up.
So this is just a really good hearty meal.
Yeah. Needs some hot sauce though.
Of course. Oh, Cole's getting up. And surprisingly, Cole likes it. So we had him taste it in the kitchen before I made him an entire bowl, and he really likes it. There you go, folks. Welcome to my life, where he adds sriracha to everything.
This is gonna be good.
Is that what I needed, baby?
I like to be comfortable when I eat. I don't like my mouth to be numb, you know.
Dad likes his mouth to be on fire and then go numb.
Like eating lava.
So I really love this. I love the creaminess of the sweet potatoes. I love how tender the meat is. I felt like it needed a little more salt, so I just put some salt on my plate. I was scared to add more salt earlier just because I was using that better than bouillon, and I'm still learning that. And I've just seen lots of reviews that says, be careful, it has a lot of salt. So I didn't want to add more and over salt it. So next time I'll know that I can add a little more salt. But other than that, it is perfection. It is so good on this cold night. It's our third meal of the week, which typically means it is Subbie supper night. But this week, Subbie supper is a dessert. I'm going to show you that later. Tonight I've got another Crockpot meal for you. I did not intend for this week to have 2 Crockpot meals, but that's just how it worked out. Tonight's dinner is called tomato and basil chicken. So we're gonna cook this chicken low and slow, and then it's gonna be served over pasta. I have some angel hair pasta that we're gonna serve it over. I'm really excited about this one. I love a creamy tomato basil soup, but let's give this a shot. This is a really simple recipe where we're just gonna throw everything in there together, and 4 hours later, dinner is ready. So let's get started. Also, check out my shirt. I love it. It doesn't look like a Christmas shirt when you look at it. It just looks like all these different colors, but it says, "Love came down, Luke 2:11. I love that. It's got baby Jesus. Ignore my dirty dishes in the sink back here. We'll act like that's not there. It's not there. You don't see it. The first thing I need are Italian style diced tomatoes, just a 14.5 ounce can. We're not going to drain it. Next, you just need about 3/4 a cup of a pasta sauce. I'm just gonna use this Prego. Is it Prego or Prego? Are you laughing at me? Like, Prego is what I call somebody when they're pregnant. Is that Prego or is that Prego? I don't know. Okay, anyway, moving on. This next part, it's up to you what you use. I'm gonna be using heavy cream, or you could use evaporated milk, but you need 3/4 a cup. I hope I have 3/4 a cup left. I think I do. Like, I think it's really close. Oh, it's like perfection. Look at that. 3/4 a cup. Into my heavy whipping cream, I'm gonna add in 2 tablespoons of cornstarch. I'm gonna whisk that together really quickly. Now we're just gonna pour this directly into the sauce. And we're gonna stir in our seasonings. It's all mixed together now. I have a teaspoon of salt, a 1/2 teaspoon of basil, dried basil, and 1/4 teaspoon of black pepper. I'm just gonna stir all of this together. I'm using my smaller slow cooker today. I think this is a 4-quart. And lastly, I'm just gonna add in our 4 chicken breasts and submerge it down into the sauce. And that's it, y'all. Put the lid on, and I'm gonna cook this on low for 4 hours. Guess who forgot the garlic? Steven would not let me live that down. Uh-oh. He just heard me. He would not be okay with that. So we're gonna add the garlic in. Now I'll see you back here in 4 hours.
Wow, that's really good. That's restaurant quality in my opinion. Very, very good. The sauce is amazing. Really balanced. Lots of flavor. I mean, tomato, basil, a little bit of the garlic. It's really, really, really good.
So this one's a keeper.
Definitely.
All right.
Great alternative to spaghetti for sure.
Cole is in the other room, but he came in here because he's already tried it. And he just wanted us to know that he approves. All right, I'm gonna give it a shot, babe. So I agree. This is so incredibly good. It's very creamy and very smooth. In our family, we like to kick things up a notch. So next time I make this, I'm gonna add some red pepper flakes to it. I think that would make it even better. It would make it just pop. But it's safe to say, Steven approves. Okay, so that is all of the dinner recipes that I have for you this week. Now it's time to move on to the Subbie supper portion. Although tonight's Subbie supper is not a supper, it is a dessert, and it comes from April. April is a mama to two sassy young ladies, her words, not mine, Tiara and Eliza. She said they live in Arkansas, go Razorbacks, and she works full-time in production, but on the side, she owns her own catering business. The recipe that she sent me to use, she sent me a couple of recipes, but this one was the one I wanted to try. I had never heard of it. A quick Google search changed that. It's called Dishpan Cookies. This was the particular recipe that her grandmother used. Her grandmother has since passed, and after her grandmother passed, she said that no one in her family could really figure out how to perfect it because they were cooking them too long and making them hard. She told me what the secret is, and y'all, I'm a little scared because number one, I'm not the best baker, but I really like a soft cookie too. So she's told me the trick. It involves moving it from the bottom rack to the top rack during the cooking time. We're gonna give this a try. Now the recipe she sent me is quite large, so I'm going to half it, but I still think it'll give me at least a couple dozen, so if I mess up the first batch, maybe the second batch will be okay. I don't know. But thank you, April, for sending this in. We're excited to give these a try. Let me show y'all everything that goes into them. Once I started looking online, I saw that some of the recipes call for coconut. There was different recipes. This is her grandmother's recipe, so this one calls for quick oats, some baking soda, vanilla, flour, 2 different types of sugar, brown sugar and regular. We're gonna use a cup of vegetable oil, 2 eggs, some salt, and some corn flakes. I thought the corn flakes part was pretty interesting, but like I mentioned, I'm gonna be halving the recipe. I will post the original recipe below. Okay, like I mentioned, I am halving the recipe. I need a cup each of regular sugar and then brown sugar. Now I've got 1 cup of vegetable oil. And I need 1 teaspoon of vanilla. Okay, let's mix all of this together. Okay, I'm gonna set this to the side. And I'm gonna prepare our flour. So the original recipe called for 4 cups of flour, so I need 2 cups of all-purpose flour. Okay, to our flour, we're gonna add a teaspoon of salt. No, half a teaspoon of salt. And 1 teaspoon of baking soda. Now I'm just gonna sift this flour and kind of mix in that stuff I just put in there. Now we're just gonna take our flour and add it into our sugar mixture. Okay, now that that's all mixed in, now we're gonna be adding in our quick cooking oats. I need 3/4 a cup of it because it calls for, is that right? I took my glasses off. I look weird without my glasses. It calls for 1.5 cups. half of that is 3/4 a cup. Yes, this is a 3/4 cup measure. So does anybody know, I'm sure I could just do a quick Google search to figure it out, why these are called dishpan cookies? I don't know that. Okay, that's mixed in. Now let's add our corn flakes. We need 2 cups of corn flakes. Mix all of this to, ooh, listen to that. It's like ASMR. Just kidding. Okay. Let's take it over here and put it on a baking sheet. First thing I'm going to do is spray my baking sheet. I've got my cookie scoop. Okay, here's the fun part. So we're gonna start these on the bottom rack of the oven at 325, and we're gonna do it for about 3 minutes, and then we're gonna move them up to the top rack and let them finish baking up there. She said an additional 3 minutes up there, so that's a total of 6 minutes. But if they're not done, I just need to keep an eye on them because we don't want them to get hard. It's been right at 3 minutes. We're gonna transfer them from the bottom rack. Okay, I just wanted to give you all a heads up. I did it for 6 minutes and it was nowhere near done. I did turn the temperature of my oven up just a little bit. I don't know, I just felt like they weren't getting done like they should be. They've been in for like 2 more minutes, so I'm gonna check it now. They are getting there. It's gonna be closer to the 10-minute mark for sure. Maybe my second and third batch going in because the pan will already be warm and maybe they won't have to cook as long, or bake as long. That's pretty typical for me anyway. When I do cookies, my first batch has to bake a little bit longer, so stay tuned. I just took them out of the oven. I thought I was recording and I was not. So they were in for a total of right at 10 minutes. I'm gonna let them sit here for just a minute before I transfer them over to this wire rack. They're still soft. I don't think they're gonna be hard. April said you do not want a hard dishpan cookie. These seem pretty perfect. I did turn my oven up to 350 though. And that just maybe, you know how different ovens cook at different temperatures. 325 just wasn't gonna cut it for me for whatever reason, but these seem pretty perfect. While we wait, I'm gonna take a bite of a dishpan cookie. That is so unique. It's like a sugar cookie, but it's got the chewiness of the oats, and then you have the crunch of the cornflakes. That is so unique. I really do like this. But I feel like it's so many different cookies all rolled into one. Like I feel like I've had this cookie before, but not in one cookie. Does that even make sense? It's good. Steven came in here and had like 3 cookies and said, I'm pretty sure this is just gonna be my lunch today. I hope y'all enjoyed this week's dinners and dessert. Don't forget to give it a thumbs up if you did. I was excited to bring you 2 more Crockpot meals this week, but that pecan crusted chicken was out of this world and so easy. I'm so glad I was able to give that a shot. Thanks to Fallon for sharing that originally. And yeah, that's it for this week, y'all. I will be back next week. I should have a grocery haul for you next week, and then of course another what's for dinner. So if you aren't subscribed, I would love for you to join my YouTube family. That way you won't miss any more of my content. Just hit that red subscribe button below. Thanks, y'all, and I'll see you next time. Bye. It is our 3rd meal. Just clean. That's better. There we go. I love that. It's got baby Jesus. Hi. Squat, squat.